Welcome to yet another episode with us. Today, I have a very special guest with me. Her name is Kikano, and she's a British expat coming from Nottingham, England, living in Dubai for almost 14 years. She started her company, TKD Lingerie, in 2012, and the business was actually born out of her own needs. She was expecting her second child, her daughter. That's when she was told by a lingerie company that they did not have a size for her. And she broke into tears, and that's how she decided that maybe it's time for her to look into this pain, as many other women might be having a similar problem like hers. And she gave birth to this project along with her daughter, which is TKD Lingerie. Let's hear her story of what she went through in making this business happen, registering her company in Dubai, getting the store, the funding, and so much more details about what went in to bring about this business and run it for almost 8 years. Kate, thank you so much for coming on this show.
Thank you for having me.
And taking time to come and sit with us and share with us your story.
Thank you.
You know, Kate, usually I start our conversations by going a little bit in the past because I truly believe that your education, what your family did, what your parents do, really impact the way our mind works in the and how we think, our thinking patterns, the fears that we have. Because being an entrepreneur is a different. It's a gene. It's either there or not there. A lot of people try and then they fail. And a lot of times people who are fresh and never have seen entrepreneurship, or their parents are also not entrepreneurs, still end up becoming one because there's maybe a fire inside them, or a desire, a deep desire, and their past experiences kind of support them in making this venture a success.
I was raised in the UK, and I had a job from a very early age. So at 11 years old, I had a newspaper round, so I used to deliver newspapers. And then at 13, I went to work in the local hairdressers. And that taught me an awful lot. It was really fun. They were a really lovely bunch of people, but it taught me a lot about customer service and looking after people. Then I did various other jobs, waitressing, etc. I wasn't sure, so I finished my exams at school, and I got good marks, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do.
What did you study, by the way?
So at university I studied optometry, but before that, when I had to decide what I wanted to do at university, I really wasn't sure. And I had a good friend, Sabra Bajani, whose uncle was an optometrist. And this is something that she was, interested in doing as well. So I did a little bit of talking to them about the role, and I thought, I would really like to do this because it's helping people. I was very short-sighted, so I'd always worn glasses, and when I'd gone for eye examinations, I was very interested in the process. So I went to work for an optical store called Specsavers in the UK. And Specsavers really did change the environment of optics in the UK. I think previously optical stores were, smaller, independently owned businesses, and you used to choose maybe from a tray of glasses. Specsavers became this high street brand, this high street chain, where you had a team of opticians, and you had, suddenly you had a vast choice of frames, and so it was one of the first brands that made it as a big high street brand. So it was interesting seeing this and seeing the.
So you saw them change and evolve in front of you while you were working there?
It was certainly, it was very interesting. So I got to experience it from the side of the optometrist when you were in the room and you're giving patient care. And then I got to see it from the retail perspective as well, and I really loved both sides of that and the customer service that went into that.
That was a good experience actually, that helped here a lot, I'm sure.
And I was offered my directorship at Specsavers, at the same time that my partner was offered an opportunity in Dubai, and you know, we were a little bit torn, but we thought, you know what, we could go to Dubai, we could experience this, and we can always go back in a couple of years.
Yeah.
So I came over to Dubai and I worked for an optical store. So I managed an optical store here for a while. And we knew that we weren't going to be in Dubai for too long because my husband wanted to go and do his MBA. So we spent a couple of years in Dubai. And at that time, I realised that I couldn't get bras to fit in my size. You know, it was a little bit frustrating, but I just used to wait till I went back to the UK. And one of the first things I would do is go to my local lingerie store and I would stock up for the year. So we went and lived in France. My husband did his MBA at INSEAD and I worked for the team at INSEAD.
Yeah, I remember this story. Yeah.
So I was working on their alumni reunions and their communications.
For NCR.
Yeah, for INSEAD. So that was a really good experience.
And you were doing what exactly there? So just taking care of their communications.
So it was, I was part of a team that was helping organise their alumni reunions within the communications team. So they used to have these fantastic reunion weekends where there would be series of lectures, there would be dinners, there would be a party at the Chateau de Fontainebleau, which is where Napoleon abdicated. It's a beautiful, beautiful chateau, and I got to see all the private rooms there, so that was an amazing experience.
Did you attend all the lectures?
Yes, yeah. So we were very fortunate that we did get to go and sit in on lectures, and there was an entrepreneurship club, and I can remember going along to that, and I don't really know what I was expecting. You know, I was in this room with all these high-achieving MBA students, and I sat there and I listened to them pitch their ideas, and I was listening to their ideas and I was listening to the responses, and my thought process and, you know, the way that I would respond was very similar to everybody else in the room. And I thought, do you know what, a lot of this is common sense, actually. I was on the same wavelength as a lot of people in the room, and
you got a little role.
It gave you that little bit of confidence. I wasn't thinking about starting anything at that stage, but it was a nice affirmation.
Yeah. Seeds were planted, I think.
Yeah, I suppose so. So after that, we moved to Switzerland. I worked for an American business school, running their corporate learning courses for the Middle East and Africa and Europe. So that was amazing. I got to meet some lecturers from the States, from China, from all over, and I would be organising all these courses all over the world. So I got to meet such an amazing group of people that worked for some fantastic organisations, pharmaceutical companies, banks, and you know, they were at kind of mid to senior management level, and I just got to sit at the back of the room and listen to these lecturers and listen to the experiences of all of these people. So that was a wonderful learning experience. This is invaluable
learning, by the way.
Yeah.
Without paying anything.
No, I know. They paid me.
Exactly. So getting paid and learning, how cool is that? You got lucky. Exactly. Otherwise, people have to spend like thousands of dollars to just sit in that room.
Yeah. And then following that, we moved back to Dubai, which is, you know, we had a great time in France and Switzerland. But my husband was brought up in Bahrain. We'd got some really good friends here, and we loved the Middle East, so we were really happy to be coming back to Dubai. And at that stage, I was pregnant with my first child, and I needed to go bra shopping. And there I was, you know, quite heavily pregnant with very swollen ankles, and I hit the shopping malls and I couldn't find anything in the first mall. And so I went to the second mall, and it was the same experience. And you know, people would be looking me up and down, and they're like, "But ma'am, you're so big," and I'm like, "Yes, but do you have anything to fit me?" And it was just such a negative experience, and you know, I was hormonal and tired, and I literally spent the whole day going to about 5 shopping malls, and I stood in the store and I just burst into tears, and I think it was hormones and frustration that I couldn't get a bra to fit me, and I couldn't get anybody that could fit me properly. And understand, you know, as a woman, pregnancy is a wonderful time, but you have to, you know, you come to terms with all these changes in your body as well. It's not all glamour. So I wanted somebody that had that little bit of empathy. I wanted to have these products on the market. And I was upset. And I went home, and then I got a little bit mad about it. I was like, this is just, you know, so this could be better. And I'd come from this background of optometry, from working in the village hairdressers for years, and I love customer service. I love people, and as nice as it was to experience working in an office, I really missed retail. So I was looking around, and I'm like, I can't be the only one having this problem. I'm not the only full-busted woman in the whole of the Middle East. So I started talking to people and asking, you know, friends, and where do you buy your lingerie, and, you know, do you struggle here? Are you happy with the service? And I found a lot of people had got shared experiences. And after my daughter was born, I started putting together a business plan. And this is really how the idea for TKD came about. It really was through a need in the market, something that I was passionate about in terms of great customer service. So I wanted to create an environment where women would be comfortable, and they would be looked after by a team of bra fitters that really knew their product, and were passionate about it, and had got really good customer service. So it was all about, you know, creating the best bra fitting experience in the Middle East. It's an intimate product. It's something that, you know, to ask a lady to come in and have a fitting, it's not always the most enjoyable experience. I don't know anybody that 100% loves their body, and we wanted to make it. Do you? Good on you.
I love everything about myself.
But we wanted to make it a really positive experience for people. There's a huge proportion of women that aren't in the right size because, you know, maybe they've not had a fitting since they were a teen. Maybe they've received wrong advice. So we created TKD. We've created this environment that, you know, from the feedback that we get, it is welcoming. People enjoy shopping with us, and we stock 120 bra sizes. We stock sizes that you can't find anywhere else in this country.
You know, I want to know, how did you come up with the name TKD? The knicker drawer. It's very creative. It's so apt. It's perfect.
It was
very. Did you find it? Did you come up with it, or your husband?
Yes, so we had some very funny brainstorming sessions about what we could possibly call this business with my husband, with friends, and it was actually, we've got everything else, you know, a lot of the other boxes ticked, and we still hadn't come up with a name. So it was something that we wanted it to be a little bit fun. The knicker drawers, we just thought, you know, it was a bit of fun. It was we don't want to take ourselves too seriously. You know, we want somewhere that's welcoming. We don't want somewhere that's, you know, that feels a bit standoffish.
Are you scared when you were thinking, were you scared before this all came together? How did you feel? Were you scared that it'll work, not work? What about the funding? Where did the funding come from?
Oh, wow. Friends, family, and fools. I think.
All the angel investors.
No, I think we were very lucky that we had people that believed in the concept, and yeah, the initial money came from us and from family and from friends. I think that's one thing that is very hard for small businesses. I mean, it has in more recent years become less expensive to start a business, but there is still a large financial investment involved,
In
and
opening
it's
a business in
hard to
Dubai,
find. Yeah, it's hard to find business lending now, even at the stage that we're at. I think this is something that does need to change. And I actually read an article yesterday that they were floating the idea of more crowdfunding platforms for the UAE, which would be
They'll be very lucky for the entrepreneurs and startups. So, how was the process of setting up a business in Dubai? Was it very easy and smooth, like to get a license and the local agent partner and everything?
I was fortunate in that my father-in-law had an existing business in Bahrain and in the UAE, so we partnered with his partner. So that was very nice. It was somebody that he'd been in business with for a long time. But again, I think that there's an awful lot of local sponsors now, and there are business setups. So again, I think that has become a lot easier to find a local partner. And it's very, it's easy to set up a business now. There are a lot of different options available, both
compared to back
onshore,
in the days,
and in the free zones. So yeah, there was a lot of running around, but fortunately, I had somebody who'd done it before and could advise. So
how did you choose the store, the location of the store, like in the?
That was actually a challenge. All of the males wanted to see a very, very detailed business plan. They wanted to see a very, very detailed marketing plan. They wanted to see drawings of your concept, 3D renders of your concept.
That itself is a lot of investment.
Exactly. So, and there were a lot of shopping malls at the time that didn't want to give me the time of day. They wanted big established brands, and we were a bit of a wild card. So there were a few smaller malls that we looked at, and town centre was one of the malls that we felt it was very female oriented. So this was something that would be a real plus for us. It's well managed. I think the location, it's in an affluent area where there's a really good mix of expats and locals within the area. So we have a really wonderful mix of customers. I think that we benefit that although it's not the highest traffic mall, people who come to town centre come to see us. They come to shop, and we get to spend the time with them. So when women are in our changing rooms, they're not rushed because we're not having to deal with hundreds of people walking through the door that are just browsing. We get the true customers in, and we can spend our time and our energies with them.
So the whole business depends on the footfall from the mall?
No, not at all.
Because it's a very niche product. It's not a mass market product.
No, I mean, we have customers.
How do you spread them? What kind of marketing do you do to attract the right audiences coming to the store?
Yeah. So we did all of this on a very small budget.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, I think, went into stock and ShopFit, and we just had a little portion at the end for marketing. And
That's
I think
always the case.
I'm afraid it is. Yes,
Yeah.
I think it's something that's very important, but often gets overlooked. But I think in Dubai we are in a unique position that so many people are here without families. Very strong online community. And we did a lot through community marketing. So through, online women's forums, through Facebook groups. And we came on at the same time that you've got some amazing groups like Real Mums Dubai was just being formed. And they were great supporters of ours. They were like, oh my goodness, finally, we could come in and we could find some, really fashionable choice of lingerie and swimwear. And again, Helen Farmer, she is now a radio presenter on Dubai Eye, but she just started Good Magazine, which was showcasing small businesses in the region and telling you what was going on the weekends. And it was a fantastic magazine. And we were one of their first homegrown heroes. So at their inaugural awards. So we had some great support from people within the community. And I think a lot of it grew through word of mouth. We did the odd magazine advert, but we didn't have the budget to run a sustainable campaign. And we always asked customers, where did you hear about us? Because I was so proud every time somebody had heard about us, or I saw a TKD bag go through the mail. I'm like, oh, it was still like, oh my goodness, we've actually done this. This community marketing, this word of mouth, and I even used to sort of stop people. I'd be at mum and baby groups or in a soft play area, and I'd see somebody and I'd say, can I just ask a bit of a strange question, but where do you currently buy your bras? And they were like, oh my goodness, well, I have to do this, and this. And I said, well, I've just opened in town centre. And they were like, oh, that's amazing, we'll come down and see you. So it really was, a lot of
hard work, a lot of waiting. And word of mouth. So it was really, really slow marketing. How did you manage the cash flow then? Because if business is coming so slow.
Yeah, well, do you know what? We had a queue. We had people waiting at the door on the first day that we opened.
Awesome.
So that was incredible. I think we just had, there was such an amazing response because, people had been struggling to find, D+ bras, and I had a good team in place. So, I wasn't a bra fitter. I was not optometrist. I was testing eyes. So I knew about customer service. I knew a little bit about retail, but I didn't know a great deal about bra fitting. So I did training courses. I met with all the suppliers. I went through their training courses. We got Panache and the Fit accreditation. But I also brought a really experienced manager from the UK, and we put together this great training program so that when the customers came through the door, they had this wonderful experience and they told their friends. Not only could they buy the bras, but they had fun doing it. And I think because we'd got so many elements right, and we stick to that, and we don't get it right all the time. Of course we don't, but we do try, and we try to improve all the time, and we look for gaps where we can improve people's customer experience. That I think it grows from there. And as we've had more budget, we have been able to get more sophisticated. So, we do have experts who look after our social media content and our digital marketing. But again, we don't have a massive budget. We're a small team. We have 2 stores, but we still have the same responsibilities, and we still have to do the same marketing as, some of our bigger competitors, you know, like Victoria's Secret, who's a, you know, they're a marketing machine.
They're on a different level of retail, right? You are a more niche retail, and that's mass retail. So it's a very different kind of a product, you know, also.
It is, but there's still crossover because a lot of people don't know their sizes, and I know Victoria's Secret stops at like a triple D or an E cup, and we go all the way from a D to a K cup, but a lot of people are wearing the wrong bra size. So there's a lot of people that you know, are shopping on the high street and not knowing their correct size. Yeah. So it's that education aspect to it as well. How do we get people, how do we encourage them to come and see us and come and try and come and have a fitting? And it's such a lovely part of the job. Like every day we have women come in who have a bra fitting and they suddenly go, I can't believe I was wearing the wrong size my whole life. And when you are in the right size, it really is a revelation. And I can remember being fitted when I was 19 years old, having been in the wrong size all the way through and suddenly gone, oh, this is fantastic. I feel so much more comfortable. My shape looks totally different. I'm not, you know, adjusting throughout the day.
It matters a lot.
And it was a great experience. Yeah. And our team, you know, I think they thrive off this reaction of people.
How did you find these brands to tie up with? Like, because there was the pain that you didn't find your size, but then you decided to open a company. So how did you find the vendors? You were not, like, you didn't have any knowledge about the business. You kind of learned as you went ahead, right?
So there were brands that I was wearing.
So you approached them in the UK and wherever else in the world.
Exactly. I mean, the UK was really among the first, the UK designers were among the first to really design D+ and above lingerie. So Panache being one of the leaders in this, and they saw, you know, that there was, you know, a whole segment of women that weren't being looked after properly, and so if we go back, if you look at a bit of history, a long time ago, everything was bespoke. You know, you went to your local tailors to get a dress made. You went to your corsetier. And then after the Second World War, it became more industrialised. Clothing was now off the peg. It was mass produced. You know, it's just the development of your department stores, and so lingerie went from being something that was bespoke to having this set sizing system and this set measuring system, and this was the system that was in place, you know, very much to the present day. However, you know, we're very different to how we were at the early part of the century. Our body types have changed. Our nutrition is different. There's a lot more estrogens in the food chain, so women are getting to be bigger busted.
It's amazing how everything affects everything. It's like a chain cycle.
And yet there was still only 25 to 30 bra sizes. Now we stock 120 sizes, and that's only starting from a D cup upwards. So it's very much like having your own bespoke fitting. And we go from a UK dress size 6 all the way up to a UK dress size 26. So we really are covering, you know, helping women that are very petite all the way up to fuller figured women. And that's something that I wanted. I wanted something inclusive because I felt that when I was going out shopping, I really wasn't finding anything for my shape and my size, and I wasn't enjoying the experience. I wanted people to be able to walk into TKD and not say, what do you have in my size? I wanted them to be able to shop everything in their size and say, oh, well, you know, what other colours does this come in? You know, to really have that choice, and a fashionable choice as well.
So with Panache, you found all the other vendors to supply to you then?
Yeah, so...
like, how did you... was it being a new business and being first store?
Yeah.
You were going to stock limited quantity because it's a new store. You're not going to buy in bulk, much more in bulk. So how was it to negotiate with these guys, the terms or anything special you did to negotiate with them?
So I think, to start off with, I went to the UK and I met with all of these people.
Oh, you did
and I
meet
went
everyone,
to
yeah.
the trade shows, and we developed relationships. They could see that I was very passionate and I was very serious and I wanted to learn and I wanted to bring the right team on board. And we did invest. We invested in product and we invested in a lot of product because, I was very much, we need to cater for everybody and we need to provide a choice.
Yeah. So were you able to get big choice from the beginning?
So we did invest, and we had we are very stock heavy because we do have 120 sizes, and I want women to be able to come in and have a selection. And there's so many different types of bras. There's your strapless, there's your sports, there's your nursing, there's a plunge for this, that. There's a whole lingerie wardrobe that you need to cater for. I think a lot of the brands didn't have a presence in the Middle East, and they wanted to work with us, and they were wonderful in supporting us as a
small
as a
quantities
small
in the beginning, and
business. But even now, we offer a special order service. So with everything we stock and the sizing that we stock, it's never going to be possible to have every single size in every single colour, but we will order it for you.
So you have that kind of
arrangement
arrangement as well.
Option as well. So we might take a little bit of a hit on the shipping. But, with our suppliers, we're bringing new stock in every single week, and we want to make sure that our customer can order. They love this style, but they'd like it in a blue colour. Great, we'll bring it in for you. Come and try it. If you don't like it, that's okay. You can select something else within the store. So it's going that extra mile to make sure that we can bring things in. And the experience that I'd had before is, no, it's out of stock in your size. When are you getting it back in again? I don't know. Are you getting it back in again? I don't know. So our team are trained that, they know what's available. They know that if a customer suits this shape, this style, that in the catalogue, this and this will work for them. So they can show people and give them more options. And we always try to go that extra mile.
Let's talk about your team and your hiring process, because I remember when we spoke last, you told me you have some special hiring process. You have some special trainings you do for the team to kind of...
Yeah.
Would you like to share that with us?
I think...
How do you hire?
This was the most challenge. It was one of the biggest challenges for us. So, we've made some very good decisions and we've had some really good team members, and then we've had some not so good team members as well. And you see that if you're not surrounding yourself with the right people, it impacts everything. So I joined the EO Accelerator program, the Entrepreneur Organisation program. And they do different modules. So they do cash, they do marketing, they do people, strategy. And the people one was really important. And that gave us some amazing tools to hire the right people. And from that, we developed a very comprehensive recruiting process. So before
what
that...
tools? What are these tools?
So I think, we really assessed ourselves as a business, and I think we had a strong set of core values, but we weren't always interviewing on those. So our interviews are very much value-based now, and we want to check a range of skills. We can teach people to bra fit. We've put into place, a very good training program, but it's having that person who shares your values, who
Correct,
shares your love
Yeah.
of working with people and helping people, and
Yeah.
it's finding that person.
And what questions do you ask then to
So,
identify the
we,
values?
There's an awful lot of people looking for a job in Dubai, and we get hundreds and hundreds of applications. So when they come through, we send them a list of questions.
Okay.
And that knocks out an awful lot of people.
What are the questions like? Maybe you can share a couple of questions with us.
Yeah, so it would just be a question about the business, so that they'd actually have to go and do a little bit of research. So are they interested in your company? Are they going to find some information out about your company? There might be a question about values. There may be a question about, if a customer asks for this, how would you respond? So it's just 4 short questions, and that knocks a lot of people off. A lot of people don't even respond to those. And when we get these answers back, we're looking at CVs, we're looking at covering letters, and we're looking at how they responded. And then we'll speak to them on the phone. And we'll do a short phone interview with them. So we get to see how they respond to you on the telephone, because that's very difficult. And I think here as well, where English isn't everybody's first language, it's so much easier to communicate face to face than it is on the telephone. But it's an important part of our job. So already we've checked people's writing skills, people's verbal skills, people's willingness to, or ability to go and work independently and find information out. Then after that, they come and meet us, and they'll meet myself, or they'll meet my retail manager, and they'll go through an interview. And again, a lot of the questions are value based.
What is an important value you look for in an employee?
I think it's empathy. It's how to speak to people, how to deal with slightly difficult situations or uncomfortable situations. It's very much about their reactions. And a lovely question that I like to ask is, if you had children, or with your children, what are the 2 main values that you would like to pass on to them?
And what's your favorite answer?
Oh, I know you're putting me on the spot. So I think it's it's to do with taking care of one another, and honesty, and working to your values. So caring for those around you. Self-care as well. It's not about making sure you reach the highest rung of the ladder and making the most money possible, because I think a lot of people, when they're looking back on their lives, it's the people that they surround themselves with.
Absolutely, I so agree. But that's a very good way to hire, by the way.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we as well do, because it's easy to learn skills. We can teach you how to manage our ads panel, and understand the ads panel and stuff. But then the values are the most important
That's
aspect.
exactly right. And then the most important stage, the very final stage, is they work an afternoon with our team. So with our bra fitters, and then our team afterwards fills out a feedback form and gives their feedback to their manager about how this person interacted with the rest of our team. And very recently, Bridget and I interviewed a lady who she went through every stage with flying colours, and she came to spend an afternoon with the team, and she was incredibly rude to one of the team members who was a different nationality to her and the other lady that she was working with. And every single person on my team went, no, this isn't going to work. And we were like, well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Because,
you saved yourself from a big trouble.
She was at the top of our list.
Yeah.
So
wow.
it's having all of these steps in place, especially when you're investing a lot in an employee in terms of visas and insurance, even before they've done a day's work for you, you have a lot of upfront costs that you don't get to recoup visa fees if they don't work out.
True.
Yeah.
And who was the first person you hired, for the business, the first person who came on board?
Yeah. So the first person I hired was a lady, a bra fitter from the UK, and we met in Paris at the lingerie shows, and we saw all the collections, and she helped me put my first buy together. And you really are buying blind for the first couple of seasons because you have to purchase 6 months ahead. So you don't know your market and you don't know your customers. So it was a little bit nerve-wracking. And then she came and joined me, and she had a little desk in my villa with me, and I'm like, we will have a shop, I promise you. So it was a big leap of faith on her part, and she was wonderful. She stayed with us for a while and went back to the UK. And then my manager now is from Ireland, and she was a bra fitter. She worked for Bravissimo, which is one of the big D+ lingerie retailers in the UK. So she worked with them for a long time, and she's my person. She's just wonderful. We have such a great working relationship, and again, it is just, I can't stress how important it is to have the right people around you.
And what do you do to retain the team? Do you notice that competition takes someone away, or somebody wants extra salary growth, or how do you handle?
We have, so I think we just, we value our staff, in terms of salary, we pay them as much as we can. We reward them, and I'm not talking about sales. For me, customer service is the most important. I think if you are really looking after your customer,
they're going to come back.
Then the sales come off the back of that. So we have in the shops, we have a guest book, and we've got some wonderful comments in there. If ever I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed with all the admin and everything else, I'll go and have a look at a read through the guest book, and I'm like, this is why we're doing it. So we have little trips to the cinema, or Bridget or I'll do an evening in the shop, and the girls will go out for dinner. So of course it's 9 to 5. They're not going to come skipping in every morning, but I think they enjoy they enjoy what they're doing. They're a nice team, and we sell a lovely product. We have wonderful customers that make it a pleasure to come into work.
I remember you mentioned 90% of the people who go to the trial room buy.
Yeah, so we have.
How does that happen? Is there of course they buy because I guess the fit is perfect. That's why.
Yeah, I think
it's a no-brainer if you find something that.
So 90%. It's over 90% of women who come into the changing rooms do purchase, and I think number one, we are a destination. People have come to see us specifically. Number two, we as part of our values, we only sell products that we believe in. I mean, it might look beautiful on the hanger, but if it doesn't fit properly, you're not going to want it. And there's an awful lot of brands, very well-known brands, very high-end brands that I've said no to because I don't think their D+ offering is good enough. And I can't justify. I mean, some of them, cost twice the amount than some of the brands that we're stocking, but I'm like, well, it might be this beautiful lace, but it doesn't fit well. So I think people know when they come to us that they are going to get a really good quality product that they are getting the service. And, I really do encourage feedback, be it positive or negative. So if people don't find what they're looking for, I want to know. And I think being independent makes us agile. We can bring new brands in, we can try new products. And we have such a lovely relationship with our customers. They are very quick to give us feedback, so we can constantly improve. Yeah, we introduced a maternity home fitting service, and that was off the back of a lady who had come into store and she'd had a C-section and she'd come straight from hospital because she hadn't had time. Sometimes babies come a little bit sooner than you expect, and she hadn't had time. And I was just so touched that she was obviously she'd gone through so much, and here she was in obvious discomfort and tired, and sat in our changing rooms. And I thought, this is ridiculous. What can we do to help women when they have just had a baby? We understand it's difficult to get out and about, especially with a newborn, especially in this heat. So we come to you now, and we'll come and we'll fit you in hospital.
That's an innovative idea.
Yeah,
I know. Reach out to the customers and they can't come to you.
Yeah,
That's great, actually.
We'll come to people's houses and we ask a few questions ahead of time, and we bring a
collection to them.
Yeah.
The business, you started the business when you had your second daughter, right?
My first child, yeah. So my daughter Elodie.
Oh, okay. She's the first child, is it?
She was my first child, and then 2 years after I had Oliver. Yeah.
And you had the business also.
And
so how did you manage? How did you balance your personal and work life, being a new mother with toddlers, like small babies, and this another baby?
It was really tough. And I look back now, and I just want to kind of give myself a bit of a hug because I don't think I realised at the time, what I was getting, I was getting into.
Yeah.
But again, I have a really great support network. So I got some really good friends. And I had a really lovely nanny who, so her sister works for us now. So I've been really lucky in that I have such a big support network at home, and something had to give. I couldn't run the business and look after the children and keep a perfect house. So I've got somebody else that, keeps this lovely, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but, they do the cooking and run the household for me. And I think we're very privileged here that a lot of people can afford live-in help. And, that's amazing. It has given me that focus or the ability to focus on the business. My husband's parents also moved to Dubai when my second child was born. So again, I understand how lucky I am to have them, and they are wonderful people, and they love their grandchildren, and that allows me to be able to focus some of my time on TKD. But I think it's also managing your expectations. There is so much that I want to do. And in the beginning, I did try to do it all. And I soon realised that I wasn't going to be able to sustain that. I was working until Oliver's first feed, in the first night feed. I'd work till 2-3 in the morning and then get a few hours. And it was not sustainable. Yeah. So I made a conscious decision that, I love my family, I love my business, and, as much as I have this audacious goal for TKD, I can't do it with the resources that I have. Yeah. So I think I learned through trial and error and, getting to the point of exhaustion, that I had to set realistic expectations at home and in my work life. And I wasn't going to get, my list of 10 things achieved in a day, that I had to be realistic. And we're just going to launch our online store now. And it's 8 years on, and it's it's been there it's been cooking for an awfully long time. And it can be frustrating sometimes, but I still want to be able to pick my kids up from school, a few times a week and put them to bed every night. And, it's a decision that I made, and I know other people have made very different decisions. But I think it's finding what works for you, and setting limitations, setting expectations with those around you, and being very strict with them.
Yeah. So how do you plan the growth of the company then? How do you see what's the next? How do you dream big then? No, it's just you dream big and you keep targets to reach.
Yeah, we do. So we do have a strategy. I do have a board that we meet with, and we have plans in place, and we have goals. Some of them work out, some of them don't work out, and that's a learning curve in
that's how it
itself.
Works. Yeah.
And I think that's the measure of you and those around you, that what do you do when things don't go to plan. But again, it's managing expectations. It's like, this is what we want to achieve. If we do it this way, we'll probably get to here. We'll get here in this amount of time. If we do it this way, we can do it in this amount of time. So there's been a lot of organic growth.
The online store is a very, very good idea, by the way, because everything nowadays is moving online. People are going less and less to shop in the malls and saving their time for doing other things. And online is picking up so much in our country. What one book would you give? Do you read books, by the way?
That's my guilty pleasure.
Yes, awesome. I love when I read a lot of books, and I love asking this question to all our guests. Like, what is that one book that you would like to give to others?
In terms of business book, I think, when I was part of the ERO program, that's based on a book called Scaling Up by Vern Harnish, and that's a really great book that you can dip in and out of. I've just started to listen to books on Audible as well, so that was something that I've been meaning to do for a long time, and just started to do that recently, and I'm just listening to the E-Myth by Michael Gerber, I think, and
that's a good book. Yeah,
that's a very good book as well. So they would be my top two.
Any closing thoughts for our listeners who might be thinking of opening a business in Dubai, or small businesses who are probably working hard to keep the current business thriving? Any advice or tips you would like to give to others?
I think that you need to look at your business and really think, what are your USPs? What are your values? What are your core values? And everything that you do has to reflect these. And it has to be authentic. It has to be you. If your values are totally different to your business values, it's not going to work. So I think from a point of why are you doing this, it has to fit with your ethos. And I think get the right people behind you. I have some great fellow business owners that I meet with on a regular basis, and we bounce ideas off each other. I have a really good team around me, and when I don't, I have to make that hard decision. And there have been some very hard decisions along the way, and people might not always like you for it. So you are putting yourself out there a little bit, and so.
Can you share with us an example of a hard decision, for example? Is it letting go of staff? Or?
Yeah, I think letting go of staff is incredibly difficult, because everybody has, personal responsibilities, everybody has personal issues, and I have had to let go of people in difficult situations, but for extremely good reasons. And I found it, it was incredible. It was really hard to do, because I always wanted to give people the benefit of the doubt. And I've had my fingers burnt on many occasions from doing that. So I think it's putting the processes in place, putting your HR processes in place. And I think a lot of small business owners, they suddenly, it's very easy to become the bank of Kate or this or that. And so it is putting the interests of the rest of your team first as well. So yeah, I think people management has been a challenge, and I've learned a lot from other people on how to improve that.
I think people management is one of the most important skill for a small business or an entrepreneur, even for myself. And the day I realized that I'm not the smartest, I started hiring the smartest people.
Yeah.
And I started delegating everything on my table, so much so I have absolutely nothing, which is why now I have the podcast on the table.
Yeah.
So when you delegate, choosing the right hands who handle that particular job, it's art. Yeah. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of trial and error. You fail with your decision and you take back. And then, you get burned, of course, with your decisions when something wrong happens and you fix it. And I learned long back, a mentor of mine actually told me that the day you understand how to manage your team and you just take care of them, your clients and your business will automatically be taken care of.
Yeah.
And that's when I started studying people, what motivates people. Yeah. And that has been an amazing process, a learning process.
And I think it's something that when people go into business, it's not something that they think about. Mm. I think a lot of people think, I'm a great chef, I'm going to open a cafe, or I'm this and I'm going to do that.
You start with the skill that you're passionate about, and that's what you want to share, but then you have to wear so many things, with so many hats with it to kind of make the thing run, to make the business run.
It's for me, it's been such an amazing experience, and there's been a lot of growth there, and there's a lot of things that I've got wrong,
and it's okay.
There's things that we've got right as well, and I think it's testament to my team that we're still here after 8 years. It's something to set to.
And may you be for many, many, many years to come. Would you like to share with our audience how they can find your stores, where all online and offline?
Sure. So we have a boutique in Town Centre Jumeirah Mall, which is on Beach Road, next to Mercato. A lot of people know the bigger sister mall. It's a lovely little shopping mall. They've got Baker's Spice in there. The best sushi in town is there, Sumo Sushi.
Yeah, I love that.
It's lovely. And then we recently opened this year in Abu Dhabi. So we're in Mushrif Mall in Abu Dhabi on the first floor.
Congratulations.
And we will very soon be launching our online store, which is TKD Lingerie.com. Very excited for that to come through, and hopefully our lovely customers, they can order from the comfort of their own home very soon.
And that is amazing. I mean, that is really a good step forward considering where the times are headed. So congratulations on that. And thank you so much for taking time and coming on the show and sharing the stories that you've shared.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed the conversation with me and Kate. If you have any questions from Kate, please go ahead and ask us from the comments below, whichever channel you're watching or hearing this podcast on. Feel free to share the podcast. Actually, not feel free. Please share the podcast with friends and families and people you think can benefit from this conversation. Until the next episode, see you soon.